Welcome back to 1010's podcast. My name is, of course, Michael Beck, and I have Robbie Veerhout with me, and we have a guest. His name is Adam.
Really? What?
His name is Adam Nielsen.
Jesus.
Thanks for joining the show this
one
week, Adam.
every once in a while, and now I'm a fucking guest.
Well, your percentage is not good. We've had this is 16, and you've missed 2.
That's
16 or
passing.
17,
That's
depending on how you
passing. I'm good with that.
We're batting 1,000 here, and you're just like, I guess I show up.
It was convenient for him to show up today, so he's here. But thanks for joining the show today, Adam.
I'm just gonna stop coming altogether. I'm done with this shit.
Nah, you're gonna be so sad when this is gone. If this is
come on,
gone,
you love it. We had a great week this week, Adam.
We did have a great weekend.
We did. We had a great weekend.
We did.
We had a great week with people being very active because of stuff we did over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not getting any work done at work right now because I'm on my phone trying to interface with our Facebook crowd because they just love us right now.
I'm fairly certain on Monday I got about 200 notifications.
at least. And then today too, we had 130 from Instagram alone. Or no, it was probably
more than that.
200
Yeah.
with all the pictures.
And I just love it.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy.
Yep.
Keep doing it, people.
I enjoy watching my
Thank
phone
you.
die throughout the day. So by 3 o'clock, it's just nothing.
My phone is done by noon. Does your phone make it? Well, your
Nah,
phone's
'cause I have a
new.
brand new one.
Yeah, your phone's new. My phone is dead. I have a charger in my office because it just
It
dies.
It
I'm at
depends on how
30%
talkative
and I
you
haven't
guys are.
and I haven't charged it at all today. And I have not been nice to it.
Mine's on the charger right now.
So on that note, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, 1010's Podcast, at the number 1010's Podcast on Twitter. What else am I missing? 1010'spodcast.com.
1010's podcast on Car Throttle.
Yes, find us on Car Throttle. We've
Had a
had
couple of things I've posted on Car Throttle this week.
we've had some good stuff on Car Throttle. People were pumped about the GTR.
People are still liking the 2JZ Dragster I posted like 3 or so weeks ago.
I don't know how people are finding that.
I don't think there's a lot of traffic on the drag racing community.
Oh, is that where you posted that?
Yes.
So I don't quite understand that. When they changed, because I think they made a bunch of changes in preparation for the iPhone app.
Yeah, they added a ton of new communities.
So, but they got rid of a bunch of them.
Well, they got rid of
didn't
a bunch, and then they all came back.
Why did they do that?
I don't know why they did that, but they all came back, and then they also came back with a bunch more.
Because people were pissed off there for like a week. Because there were
And
some
rightfully
communities and then
so.
they left. So when you post something to Car Throttle, it's got to go to a community though, right?
Yeah, you have to pick a community where it goes. There's a general if you don't really know, but I try not to do that because things get lost there very quickly.
Because when you asked me to look at something the other day, I couldn't find it because it was
What
buried
annoys
in some
me-
community.
I wish that they would add this, is that there's not a section now where you can just, or at least I have not found it, where you can just go and look at what the people you are following have posted.
The people
You
that
can
you
only
are like
you
friends
can
with.
yeah, so you can only go to a community. Say I want to look at drag racing stuff. There is a drag racing community. I can go to that and I can look at it. But if I have a couple of friends that posted in there, and a couple of friends that posted in some of their owner categories and random places, I can't go to those and look at them.
Oh, there's not really a news feed?
There's not. Well, you have to. There's a
It's
news
just not-
feed. Then
yeah,
you
it's
select which community you want to look
yeah.
at.
Oh,
So when you look at, but there's like a what's hot feed too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but that's usually not very good.
That's usually like staff writers. almost.
95% of it is staff and highly popular writers because they're the ones that get all the upvotes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about that Car Throttle.
I think that so I posted stuff about Josh's Turbo Miata last night
Okay.
in the first and second gen Miata owners community, and I'm fairly certain that the Car Throttle admin who has a Turbo Miata upvoted it.
Who's that?
I can't remember what his name is.
See the guy
now.
that harassed Chris Harris on YouTube?
Yes.
Not a big fan of that guy. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
but I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
He's
fair enough.
mild celebrity level.
Well,
he
he's
upvoted our
He's
stuff.
talked to a lot more celebrities than we have. Did you see what he was doing today?
I don't keep that close track, no.
It just happened to turn up. So you've watched some South Park, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the South Park where Stan's dad? I can't remember exactly what he's doing, but he's like microwaving his balls or something like that.
'Cause
So
he
They
wants-
end up,
he wants
he's
to-
got to like push him around in a wheelbarrow.
yeah,
He's
so
trying to get medical marijuana.
Oh,
so he's
that's
getting
what-
cancer.
So for some reason, that guy, whatever his name is showing pictures of Stan's dad with his giant cancer balls to Ken Block in his car.
just for fun.
I think he
I don't
actually
know.
strives to make all of his interviews as awkward as humanly possible.
So do you think he's awkward or that's a game for him?
I think that he's a bit awkward and that they've turned it into a game and he takes it to the next level.
Because his interview with Chris Harris is really annoying.
Because Chris Harris doesn't like the Miata. And he doesn't know, and that guy doesn't know that anything besides Miatas exist. And so he kept bringing it back, and Chris Harris was getting really mad about it.
And I couldn't tell if the whole thing was fake or real or what was going on.
I don't
but
think Chris would have faked it.
I couldn't keep watching it. I had to stop watching. I've watched it through once. I tried watching it one other time, and he's so obnoxious I had to quit watching it.
I don't think I've ever watched any of his stuff on YouTube.
I don't think you're missing anything, to be completely honest.
Well, they're never going to sponsor us.
Nope. Car Throttle's out. We like their website. We just don't really like that one guy's YouTube videos.
Fair enough.
We got a shout out this week. Mr. I'm going to screw this up. I've never talked to this guy, and I'm attempting to say his name. And
I
I
can
usually
get his first name.
Yeah, so you've read
James is his first name.
James.
James Chartres
That's what I was going to go with.
or Chartres, I guess if
It
it's
might
French.
be Trey.
It could be. James, you should message me on Twitter and tell me how to pronounce your name after the fact. But he's got he's got a few different things. He's really got a website that's kind of like blog format. It's called kangamotorsports.com, and yes, it is kangaroo, and yes, he's an Australian.
I hope he's got a really thick Australian accent.
He lives in California now, and obviously, like I said, I haven't talked to him, so I don't know what his backstory is, but I know he's an Aussie, and he lives in California. And he does sweet stuff with, he's got a Spec Racer Ford, which is really cool.
Yep.
He goes to way more cool racetracks than we do.
He's been to Laguna Seca. I saw some pictures of Laguna Seca. Apparently he's going to Thunder Hill this weekend.
Yeah, like it's not a big deal. He's just like, hey, you should come to Thunder Hill. I'm like, I would love to, actually.
Let me get on my private jet and fly out to... Wait a second. I don't have
that's
one of
not
those.
true.
Shoot.
So yeah, the gist of that story is he does way cooler stuff than we do. And you should find him. He's got a YouTube. He's done some stuff on YouTube. I haven't dug into that real deeply, but he's got some blog posts, got the YouTube stuff, does some
I'm
cool
going to
stuff.
share his Facebook page when this comes out, so I think everyone should give him a like because
Absolutely.
he's posted some interesting stuff, and you can see some sweet pictures of sweet race cars.
And if we're lucky enough, we're going to see some 10 Tenths logos plastered eventually somewhere.
On his car?
The
on his
SRF
Formula
or
car?
SFR.
And now he has to because we just threw it out there, didn't we?
Now it's out for the world.
Thanks, James.
But yeah, thanks, James. I mean, he's been a huge advocate. He wrote that article that we should probably share when this
think I
comes
did,
out. Did
actually.
you share it already? Maybe we
think
should
so.
share it one more time. But he compared us to other more legitimate podcasts, it sounded like, and we didn't fare too terribly. So we really appreciate that. We were on the list with Slip Angle, and they're way more professional than we are.
I don't know about more professional. They're more popular.
Successful.
More
They're
popular and successful. I don't know. They've got like all this equipment, and they can record remotely and all this stuff. I'm
It's
just
just
saying.
because we're too lazy to figure it out.
That might be true.
I need to figure it out. Then you guys would stop giving me shit because I could have just sat at home and done this.
See, I don't
No,
want to,
because then you'd never show
right,
up.
you would never see like, oh, I've got this. I
got this thing at this place.
thing, and
Yeah.
there's this baby and stuff. I got to stay here. And we'd never
God.
see you again.
No, trust me. Getting out of the house is nice sometimes.
We'll take your word for it.
Sure.
You guys should have a baby sometime. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah,
You've said that
I
multiple
say
times.
with a heavy dose of sarcasm.
Right, and every time you say it, none of us take you seriously.
I do love my child, just so everybody's aware of this.
Yeah,
I really,
human
like,
services,
I do,
please.
But some people just aren't baby people. That's me. I'm super excited for him to grow up and for us to be able to interact with him and that whole process. But this whole eat, sleep, poop, cry, not into it.
Repeat indefinitely.
Yeah.
I would venture to guess that most people aren't baby people, and at the risk of sounding sexist, I would say most men are definitely not baby people. But you got to put that brave face on and lie about it. Oh yeah, love babies. So great.
You should have 6 of them.
Yeah, let's just keep having babies. Dear.
Well, if we don't just keep having babies, the human race would be.
Well, how are you supposed to get that tax deduction? You know what I'm saying?
I was told
It's always
and
money with
from
you.
a coworker, and I quote, prepare your bank account. It's going to grow.
What?
Huge tax deductions.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I mean, what about the expenses?
Again, massive dose of sarcasm.
Okay.
And you don't have so for a lot of people, here's some really exciting advice on a car podcast. Childcare is tax deductible. Please speak with your tax advisor. But for a lot of people, that's a big tax deduction.
So can I pay my girlfriend?
For what?
What?
Childcare.
Oh, no. I doubt it.
I mean, we're not married.
Just wanted to make sure we were talking
can
about
file
childcare and now the other things. I don't want to get into your personal life.
I've been paying for that stuff for 6 years now.
That is not tax deductible, unfortunately.
So you're still mad at me for the fact that the first baby I ever fed was not your baby?
I am actually.
Even
I'm
though
still mad about it.
It was after the fact that you had a baby?
Yeah, I am mad about it.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Wait, you fed the baby?
Yes.
I fed a...
Oh, I thought he just held the baby.
No, some random baby has no emotional attachment to whatsoever.
I've held other babies before, but this is the first baby I've fed and burped in my entire life, and it was not his baby. And that was like, what, 3 weeks ago?
The baby that was somehow mildly related to a girl he had only met
Oh my God.
moments before.
Oh
I know
my
he's
gosh.
going to get pissed about this, but the things that you will do to impress a girlfriend's family, that's on the list.
There is no end to that list. You just keep going.
Wasn't a girlfriend at the time.
Yes, she was.
Well, yeah, I think she was, Adam.
Oh, yeah. I'll mess around.
God.
Now it's got weird. We're going to have to edit all this out.
It's
No,
not weird.
we're not-
It's
this
not
is
getting
staying,
in.
damn
It's
it.
staying in.
But anyways, yeah, so I fed their baby, or her
Yeah, and I'm still
sister's.
butthurt about it.
Sister-in-law's baby.
Katie said the first thing she's going to do when she sees you is throw the baby at you.
Well, this time it won't have medical things in it, so
It's true. It won't have a tail.
It won't have medical things in it.
I'm not a doctor, but it had things hanging from him.
He had a couple of...
Yeah.
Two-
It had like a heart rate. He wasn't on his IV anymore.
I don't know.
It's just the heart rate
He was
monitor,
attached to
some-
something, and it
just
scared
some
me.
Sticky
For those that
pads.
don't know, Adam's baby was in the hospital for a few days after the fact, just to keep an eye on it. And he had, what did he have, an IV and...
He didn't have an IV at the time you guys
He had a heart rate monitor then?
He had a heart rate monitor and a blood oxygen percentage monitor.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah, see, it's scary. I didn't want to.
Some fucking sticky pads,
It
bro.
does. It's not going to kill him. It's just a monitor.
You didn't hold it that night either.
Yeah, but
I like how I
babies are
say
like
it. Like you didn't hold him.
Him.
babies are kryptonite to me.
Oh yeah, because if you drop one baby, you get the reputation of being a baby dropper.
Being a fucking baby dropper.
Yeah,
Build
that's the rest of your
bridges and
life.
build bridges. Your whole life. You drop one baby.
So no, I didn't want to drop your baby.
This has gone down a terrible path.
Should we talk about what we did this weekend?
Yeah, let's talk
Let's
about cars
move on.
on our car podcast.
Nobody dropped a baby this weekend, and we did car things, in fact.
Many car
It was a
things.
huge car weekend on Saturday. Adam made us get up at the crack of dawn to go
I feel
to,
like we packed an entire weekend's worth of car things into one day.
less than one day.
It's probably a week's
crazy.
worth of car things.
So we went to Cars and Coffee Des Moines, our friends at Cars and Coffee Des Moines, the one that's at the Caribou in West Des Moines.
The one that's a page, not a group.
The best Des Moines.
The best Des Moines?
The West Des Moines is the best Des Moines.
Anyway.
Am I pissing you both off yet?
I don't care.
I'm gonna keep poking the bear over there.
Anyway.
He lives in West Des Moines. He
Not-
just bought
not
a house in
anymore.
West.
No, it's
yeah.
not in West Des
He
Moines.
moved out of
technically.
West Des
It's
Moines.
like Windsor Heights.
That's a town.
Yeah, it's
It
a
wants to be.
suburb or something. It's not quite West Des Moines, so I don't have to pay your stupid West Des Moines taxes.
Yeah, you pay extra taxes because Windsor Heights wants to be away.
It's not even quite Windsor Heights.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, we ate awesome car things this weekend.
So, yeah, we appreciate those guys share us this week as well, which was awesome. So thank you to Cars and Coffee Des Moines.
It's always a surprisingly varied turnout. I like that event.
Yes.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. But
I kind of figured, after you've gone to 2 or 3 of them, that you've gone to all of them,
you get the same people.
but it's really not.
No, it seems like it's
there's-
different every time.
There's probably 10% of the same cars, but then there's always a very large, varied number of vehicles I've never seen before.
Yeah,
which is
cool.
awesome.
Yep.
Especially for, we don't really have that great of a car culture here. So I think that's pretty cool that they're able to do that.
And you got people coming in and out, too, depending on when you're there.
Get there early, though, because it dies quick.
Yeah, 10:30, 11, it's done.
Yep.
And then, after that, you guys did something that turned out to be actually really good.
It was awesome.
Yeah, so we how long ago was that? Like 3 months
Wasn't
ago?
it in like
4 months
December,
ago?
January?
It was December. Groupon had this thing where if you buy a supercar autocross experience where you get 3 laps for $100 or $130 or whatever, and normally it's like $300.
It's like $550 according to the sheet we filled out this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Groupon had this awesome deal on it, and we posted it to our group of friends. We're like, hey, we should totally do this. And we all blindly bought it on Groupon. And then we got the email saying, oh, by the way, here's all the stipulations and the fines that you could have if you screw up our cars. So
that said, I did not buy it. A, because I didn't look at it that closely, and then B, I forgot. So I never ended up buying it.
Yep.
So he didn't get to do Ferrari things this weekend.
Nope.
Which is one of his deepest loves.
No, I'm not upset that I missed it. I'm glad you guys had fun, but I didn't go like, oh my God, I wish I could have done this today.
No.
Not to say that it's a bad event. I'm just saying that
All right,
I didn't feel like I missed
since you're being
out.
all negative, I'll talk to Adam about this. So I
Talk to me about
had an
it,
awesome
Robbie.
time. But anyways, we get this email that has all the stipulations, like a 6-page document that's just a list of things they can fine you for. So if you hit a cone and you scuff the bumper, it's a $250 fine. If you jump the curb, it's a $1,000 fine. If you look at the car wrong, it's a $250 fine. If you spit on the floor, it's $250 fine.
He sneezed on the steering wheel.
Yeah, if you...
Which was a real problem for me.
Yeah, Adam was super nervous the whole time.
Sneeze constantly.
The biggest one for us, though, being autocross guys and racing guys, that the max RPM, according to their sheet, that you could hit was 6,500 RPMs, or they'll fine you $1,000. And that basically deterred almost all of us from even doing it.
Yeah, we went there thinking we'll talk to him, we'll feel it out, and
In all likelihood, walk away.
there's a high possibility that despite the fact that there is a zero refund policy at this point, we're just going to walk away and abandon our money because we were really worried about it. When we got there, we started to register. The team that did it was very friendly. They seemed real relaxed. Things were going well. They were building our confidence a little bit. There were some other people running in a group ahead of us that weren't being super aggressive to the car, but
They were harping on them a little bit, more than we were expecting.
They were hustling them around. This wasn't idling around some cones in second gear. They were getting after it a little bit. So we said, all right, let's just do this.
Yep. So we get out there, and I was in the Ferrari F430, and you were in the Lambo Galore.
I was in the Lambo. And
So talk about where this is. Give some context for what exactly it is.
So basically, it's a very basic autocross course. I mean, you're
it was
talking
essentially a loop.
a loop with a very minor chicane in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's obviously meant for people that are not autocrossers. It's just like, we're going to take this car as fast as you can around this parking lot 3 times. And it's real easy.
And it was at Southridge Mall, which there's a lot of people that they're going to have no idea what that means. But Southridge is like probably the sketchiest mall in the Des Moines
Think
area.
of the sketchiest section of town in the town that you live in, and then put a mall there.
And somehow they found the best patch of concrete that
really-
they
yeah,
could
it
find.
wasn't
It
that
really
beat up.
wasn't too bad. But if you went anywhere outside those cones, it was
Destroyed.
completely destroyed.
Little backstory on Southridge, just to give you an idea of the terror that can be for a car event there. Our local SCCA region used to hold events there, and one of the reasons that it was killed is because somebody drove through a hot course in a Jeep Grand Cherokee during a race. Just they had
to
it,
be a dick? Or
Yeah.
what? Oh,
Well,
it wasn't by accident.
well, that's unconfirmed.
Oh, okay.
But they had it very well coned off.
Wait.
They had it fenced off. It was quite clear that things were happening there, and you didn't belong there. And you can't tell me that that was 150% accidental.
Right. Absolutely.
That guy, even if he didn't know it right away, quickly should have realized that he was not where he belonged and stopped and chose not to.
Makes sense.
So that's the kind of people that attend Southridge.
so
So back to the event. So like we do like a driver's meeting where they tell us, oh, here's what we're gonna do. Like here's how we're gonna run it. Whoever showed up first, they go first, obviously, and then they just kind of gave us the rundown of the cars, told us a little bit about them, just the basics of like, here's your Ferrari. It does this. It has this type of
They gave us all
paddle
these
shift.
specs, and
Yeah.
all these people who are not car people are just losing. Oh my gosh, he has 500 horsepower.
an
He
04
has-
Gallardo. Are you shitting me? What?
It has a V10.
a paddle shifter, like a Formula
What the
One
fuck is
car.
F-
Yeah, they
F1
call them
racing.
Formula One transmissions.
Yep.
Which is fine. It's whatever. But
So yeah, so they gave us the rundown. They were real relaxed about it. Then we hop in the cars, And my instructor...
So I went first.
You did go first. You go first.
You had the Gallardo.
Yeah, so there were less people that did the Gallardo than there were the F430, so my line was shorter. And I hopped in the car, and they always have an instructor in the car with you. And he goes, all right, well, have you done anything like this before? And I was like, yeah, I own a dedicated autocross car, like slicks, roll cage, the whole 9 yards. Oh, okay, so this is no big deal for you? No, we're going to be all right. And he's like, all right, well, let's, so then you pull out of their quote unquote pit lane and you do like 3/4 of a lap just to kind of figure out what it is. And then you hit your first lap and you get 3 hot laps after that. And we pulled out and I was pretty nice about it. And I get through the orientation lap, if you will, and got about halfway through my first lap. And he's like, yeah, you've clearly got this. So I'm not going to try and direct you. You just do what you're doing. I'm like, all right, cool. And we get about halfway through my second lap and he goes, get on it a little bit. I'm like, well, I'm watching the tech. I don't want to over rev it. He's like, oh no, that's just a rule we have in place for people who don't know what they're doing. You're going to be fine. All right, well, here we go then. And I laid it down. I mean, I don't know the limits of the car. It didn't have, nearly the sticky tires I'm used to, and it has significantly more horsepower than I'm used to. So I was still not driving it super hard, but...
And given the course, too, like, you really weren't given the opportunity to even get it that high.
Yeah, I think even knowing what I'm doing and not being afraid of it as much as I was, I'm still not sure that I even exceeded the 6,500 RPM limit that they instill.
Yep.
Because basically you said as soon as you came out of the gate, he started you in second?
Yeah, he just... one thing I thought was weird, he bumped the paddles into first, and then I bumped it into second, which he reached for it and missed it, and then I grabbed it and pulled it to second. But he said, we're just going to stay in second the whole time, and I was like, that's kind of what I figured. But I let my foot off the brake because it's an automatic, and it didn't go anywhere. I actually had to give it gas to get it to start moving. So
that's that twin clutch pack?
Clutch thing. So this is the first time I've ever driven like a DSG.
That's a single clutch in the 04 Gallardo.
Not the Ferrari though.
The Ferrari may be, I don't know about that. I know in the Gallardo it's a single clutch because people bitched about it up until like 2014 that it was a single clutch. But it's an automated manual. I mean, it's still a manual transmission. It's just that the computer and a some form of motor or actuator is running the clutch, engaging and disengaging the clutch. So you can like roll down hills and you can actually stall them. If you're on, like if you took a car like that on a boat ramp and tried to take off from a start at that steep of an angle, you may actually stall it if you don't give it enough gas.
I remember watching old Top Gear episodes and them saying that like the car's great, but the transmission is trash if you're in like traffic.
Or if you're trying to parallel park it. I heard that was another thing that people really bitched about because it was hard to get it to did it feel like it engaged hard when it went finally? Like when you hit the accelerator, did it
a little bit. And if you listen to people as they pulled out, you could hear it. Like they were letting a clutch out and not very good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy did that really bad.
If you're soft into the gas, like most people were coming out of that, you can tell it's trying to figure out what you want.
Yeah, and I think those real early cars, which 04 would have been pretty early for those transmissions.
And they probably came out with the E-gear or whatever they call it, and that's a lot better.
Yeah. But I think by, I don't know what year that Ferrari was, but would have been late 2000s, close to 2010. Should have been a lot better by then.
No. Yeah, so I had very similar. I get in the car, and obviously these guys, their hobbies is like racing. The guy I was with is a drifter, I think, or were you the drifter?
I think you were with the drifter, but the guy I was with does a lot of road racing.
Right. So I mean, they know racing, they know cars. So like we get in the car, he kind of gets me, situated, and obviously tells me about the car and the shifting and all this stuff. And then we take off, and he goes, "Well, I'm going to kind of talk you through it. So if I say brake, you brake, and if I say turn, whatever, and if I say gun it, you gun it." And I was like, "What about the 6,500?" He goes, "If you know what you're doing, you're taking care of our babies. I don't care if you wrap it out to $8,000, as long as you're, within the limits of what we're doing here." I was like, "Okay," and that's really all I needed to hear because I was obviously very nervous about that. Then same thing. We went out, did the first lap, just getting comfortable, and then like as we kept going faster and faster all the way up to the third lap, and he was literally saying, "Foot to the floor, to the floor."
I don't know that I ever did that in the Gallardo.
I did.
I don't know that I did. I'm not sure.
I felt like I was just hauling ass, but I'm not sure I wasn't even close to what I was capable of. But
Well, that's kind of the autocross MO. Even if you're in a slow car, it still feels terrifyingly fast for how quickly things come at you.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I think I kind of made the comparison before we got there, hoping that was the case, that their fine sheet was the equivalent to a syllabus at college, where when you go in the first day, your professor is going to stand in front of class and say, here's the rules of the class, and if you don't follow these rules, you're going to flunk my class and you're an idiot. But if you show up every day and you participate and you are a good student, we can be lenient. And that seems to be the case with these fines. If you know what you're doing, you take care of their car, if you do whatever, they're not going to fine you $1,000 for going over 6,500. It was mostly just a safety blanket for the idiots that beat on those cars and do something stupid.
Yeah, and I was thinking, if you're a company like that and you buy like 5 supercars and you're like, okay, my business plan is I'm going to drive around the United States, I'm going to let completely random people buy Groupons for these things and thrash them around in a parking lot. What is your attorney and your insurance company going to say about that? They're going to be like, are you stupid, or where did you come up with this idea? So I would guess that sheet is really a byproduct of attorneys
It's a lawyer
and
that
insurance
wrote it.
companies, and they have to have it. And if anything does go wrong, like seriously wrong, like somebody hits a light pole because they're being really stupid.
They said a while, maybe it was like within a month or so, that somebody had literally jumped a curb with that Ferrari that was there.
Yeah, I remember him saying that they had replaced that bumper on it. And then at that point, you have to. Your insurance company is not going to pay for that because it's somebody else's fault. So you've got to go back and you've got to have the proper paperwork to be able to charge people for that, for somebody being really negligent. So,
yeah, I do understand the way it's written and how it has to be that way, and I appreciate the fact that they don't enforce it to a T, and that they let you actually drive these cars.
right, yeah.
Overall, they seemed like pretty down-to-earth guys. It was a lot of fun. I would never tell someone not to do it.
I'd say absolutely do it.
I think it's worth the time just to get a chance to sit in a supercar that most of us will probably never get another chance to sit in and drive it,
Semi-aggressively.
semi-aggressively.
Yeah, it was a lot of
good
fun.
time.
Motorsport Labs.
Motorsport Lab, I think Experience.
Okay.
Motorsport Lab Experience, I believe.
We'll post some information on our Facebook page because they were pretty cool about it when you talked to them.
They go all over the country, so no matter where you are, $10 says they're not far away.
Watch out for Groupon. I wonder if that price is like a quote retail price, like you never actually pay $550 for that deal.
Yeah,
I bet you that's what it is.
Even on their website, it wasn't $550. I don't think full price.
Yeah, so try to find a deal on it if they do come to town. Yep. Cool.
Then after that, we went to the Midwest exclusive meet and greet downtown.
Yeah, so we would have had by the time this comes out, we'll have the Midwest exclusive podcast. It's coming out midweek. It's kind of a special podcast that we're doing because Adam couldn't be bothered to show up again.
Yeah,
so
he did not be bothered.
So
it's not like Robbie where he decided not to come to the first autocross because he just didn't want to. He sat at home and didn't do it. No. I actually have adult responsibilities that I have to,
There is not one thing on earth that proves that. You cannot prove that I did not.
Child, that's a pretty good proof of
you
responsibility.
You have no proof that I was just at home doing nothing. I have no proof that you were.
We have a podcast that says and I quote, "Oh yeah, I just didn't go."
Yeah, I just didn't go because I had other things at this place.
You couldn't be bothered.
That's neither here nor there.
All I want to say is I've showed up to everything that we've had to do so far. But anyway, so yeah, Sean and Daniel, we should say thanks again because they've been super supportive.
Absolutely.
Super
awesome guys.
supportive.
Very good.
Invited us into their home. We did a podcast at his place.
Sean let us eat some chicken wings. They were grilling stuff out for all their volunteers, which is really cool. So they do like a pre-show party for their volunteers to say thank you
so we shot our podcast in the middle of their party. So they let us come in, crash the party, set up in their basement, do the podcast, and we were invited to stay, but we both ended up taking off and not sticking around and partying. But
yeah, they were awesome. They didn't have to do that, and I was talking to Sean, and I think Sean actually was the one who was like, "Dude, we got to do a podcast. We got to do a podcast." I'm like, "All right, when can you do it?" He's like, "We got to do it now," and I'm like, "Okay." Are you sure that's going to work? He's like, yeah, we're having a party. You could just come over and do the podcast on Friday. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll try to make that work. And, he was really flexible. He got us a nice quiet space to do it.
I was like, we only got interrupted a couple times by people yelling down to Sean, "What are you doing? We're in the middle of a podcast."
Yeah.
So we edited it out. And it's fine. But
no, it turned out really well, and they were super supportive and continue to be super supportive. They've gone above and beyond. We sponsored the show, the meet and greet.
Yep.
Meet and greet 2, technically. But they've, like I said, they've gone above and beyond as far as trying to be supportive, because both of those guys have shared us personally. They've talked about having been on the podcast. Yeah, it's really been a great experience, and we're really appreciative that we had the chance to meet with them and get to know them, and hopefully we'll get to do some more events and things with them.
Yeah, I think you can definitely look forward to us doing stuff with them moving forward.
Absolutely.
So that was really cool. So as far as the show goes, though, it's kind of a different show.
It was a really cool venue.
Yeah, unique format.
Because if you listen to the one, which would be technically 16.
This is 16.
No, this is technically going to be 17, which is thanks to Shout Engine, because it wouldn't. We said, we're going to do a special release because we want to get this out, and this will be really cool. It's a special episode. It made me number at number 16, so this will be 17.
It's fine. It can be numbered 17. They don't need to go by week. They can just go by number.
That's true.
So anyway, if you listen to that episode, we talk about they used to have it at Saylorville, which is kind of a cool place to have it because you're right next to the lake.
That's a pretty decent-sized lake. I mean, it's not small.
And they had a big parking lot that was DNR property, and some people did some dumb things in that parking lot.
Ruined it for everybody.
This was not at their show either. Just to clarify, the people who did those things, because I don't think they clarified that well in your interview when I was listening through it. The people who did whatever it is they did there, the burnouts, the trash, et cetera, those people were there of their own free time and were not there as part of any event. Our SCCA region was also denied racing there because of the antics that these guys had done there. So
well, I'm not really sure what happened. It doesn't matter now because it's in the past. Let's just move past it. But there was talk about not having a show at all in 2016 for meet and greet. So they were able to pull off this deal at the parking garage, and it turned out to actually be a really cool venue.
Yep, some parking garage downtown Des Moines, like right in the thick of things, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. It had a very Tokyo Drift style feel.
And then it got even more Tokyo Drifty when they started blasting Teriyaki Boys from basically every other car there.
Oh, it was the greatest thing ever. I'm
glad everybody was on the same page.
I even busted out some of my terrible dance moves, and
he actually did
quintessentially white when it comes to those things.
I tried to shoot a picture because I had the camera against my chest, and I was like, I could just take a quick picture right now, and I totally missed him. I'm sorry.
I'm actually a little disappointed about that.
I know. I tried.
Honest.
I was trying to be
I wouldn't
sneaky,
have been that mad about it,
and
honestly.
I missed it. I'm sorry. But Adam was dancing, and it was a good time. It was pretty full. I talked to Sean today, actually, and he said there were 600 people there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it really good. Almost everybody brought a car. I think he said there were 400 cars there. That's total attendance, and it was like 5 hours or something. But
and people were kind of coming and going, too, because we showed up about 1:30, and it started at noon. There was a decent group there, and then it kind of started to rain, and then some people left, and more people kept showing up. So it was kind of a ongoing fluid thing where people would fill in wherever the other people left.
The weird thing about it being the parking garage is obviously that the top floor is uncovered, right? But then when it started to rain, everybody panicked and ran inside the parking garage. It's rain. Cars get rained on occasionally. Okay. It's going to be okay.
Not show cars, bro. My stanced out Miata can't get wet.
I've never owned a show car.
Can't get wet.
I can't say that I can't say I understand that life.
Well, a good chunk of them left their cars up there, and then it only rained for like a minute
half
and a half.
A second, and then everybody just started running around the parking garage. People going up, people going down.
Yeah. It
could have been pandemonium. It could have been really bad because people could have done really stupid stuff, and only one person did two-step there for a few minutes. But Sean said people were the best behaved that they've had at a show that they've hosted. So,
well, I think getting kicked out of Saylorville actually probably helped more than it hurt, realistically, because people are realizing, I can't be a jackass and just get away with it.
Well, we've talked about this a few times, but I think the hammer's starting to come down.
Absolutely,
we're getting kicked out of places. People are getting banned from things.
Right, because people used to always hang out over at Burlington and just. I'm sure it led to other
Burlington
antics.
Coat Factory, and I guess that's Urbandale over there too.
Yeah, some people would just meet there. But then, of course,
I genuinely don't even know where that is.
No. West Des Moines,
I can't.
Windsor Heights, Des Moines, Clive, Urbandale. If you asked me to drive to Burlington Coat Factory, I'd tell you I don't even know which direction to go. I don't know where it is. Never been there.
Anyways, people would always meet there, but then now no one can go there because they get kicked out as soon as they show up. Just some people ruined it for everybody.
This is a problem that I don't think just we have because
No, there's no way.
I've got a lot of friends in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota car community, and they just got a new venue for their autocross, and they're a little worried because they went there to do kind of a walk around to see, where they've got to avoid holes and lights and stuff like that, and they notice there's a bunch of black marks all over the place, and they're like, great, we haven't even started here, and there's already people tearing this place up. Let's not be doing this and get us kicked out of here before we even get a chance to race.
Because obviously they're going to get blamed.
Oh, without
Their
a doubt.
name's going to get written on that immediately.
Yep.
So yeah, what else is there to say about that?
I don't know.
It was a good
Some
event.
interesting cars. Anything?
Yeah,
What was highlights for you guys? Cars.
This is going to seem probably weird to you guys, but that stanced out blue Lexus.
Thing was really.
That
It
was clean.
Kind of
Unique.
cool.
Clean.
It was pretty cool, actually. I don't know who owns that. I think somebody actually tagged. I took a photo of it, and I think somebody tagged themselves in it or tagged a friend. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who you are, but
I don't either.
It's not my thing,
But they had.
but it was cool.
There's like a small group of those guys, and they had 3 or 4 of that caliber of car.
yeah,
They were very well put together,
I
very
think-
good looking cars.
I think that one was an ES. I think it was an ES. It was the mid-size. It was like the 5 Series fighter.
Yeah, not
Not the
IS.
LS or the IS. I'm pretty
No.
sure it was an ES, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of into it. Liked it.
That turbo TC with the hater pipe out the vented
I
hood.
like that.
And he had,
that thing was sweet.
How do you do that? He had that paint
He had,
splatter.
he had that speckle paint or whatever
How do
you
you
call
do
it.
it? Do you just actually throw paint at it?
I don't know.
Basically,
I
I
don't
think-
see
it
why
was-
you wouldn't. I
It
guess.
was. This isn't a knock. I'm just saying that it's rough. Like when you look at it, you can see the depth of the paint. You know what I
Yes,
mean? The
yeah.
splatter. You can see the splatter. It's not
My
flat.
guess is he just took like a big tarp and laid all of his stuff out on it and just started
Yeah,
Paint
he-
brush.
waving
yeah, lays-
paint brushes at it.
lays down his base and then throws the speckle or the whatever.
Probably
on
did
it.
all the parts at once and just however it
It
lands is
turned
however
out.
it turns out. It's kind
really
of cool.
It's really popular in show cars.
I like the car. The car was cool. It's different.
Yep.
You know, like he was talking to us and he was saying, oh, you're probably not into it or whatever because it's a TC and nobody really cares. And we're like, no, dude, this is cool.
That's
Nobody
awesome.
else has got one of these here.
I mean, not to knock him, but it's not a Honda.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying
There's only
anything
one
bad
TC
about
there.
Hondas, but there were a ton of Hondas there. It was something different. And
And
that's
it's way cool. I love TCs,
Yep.
especially that first gen TC.
to say something good about Hondas. There was that K-swapped. I'm real bad with my Civic chassis.
I got nothing.
EK.
It's the cleanest car I've seen in a long time.
It was crazy. Like
No wiring.
no wiring. He filled all the little holes and dimples in the firewall and the inner fenders, and then he sanded them perfectly smooth, and he painted it, and it was flawless
His
paint.
engine bay paint matched the exterior paint quality, like
it
on
was
his whole car.
incredible.
Yep.
It was
It was very, very,
flat.
very well put together.
For an
super
OBD2 engine. There was only like 2 wires showing on the whole thing, which is just nuts.
It was K-swapped.
What did you say? So that S2000, it's from Sioux Falls, right? It's got the
Yeah.
hard top.
It's got a full, like,
like spoon?
genuine spoon body kit and hard top.
It is nuts. I
and
love
it is that
car.
teardrop, like, fastback style hard top, and that's like a $15,000 body kit.
so
oh my
cool.
gosh.
The kit
so
and the
cool.
top,
That was-
it's like
that was a good looking car.
$15,000.
It's such a good looking, and he found a really good spot, kind of in the middle. People just flock to that thing. It's
They should, because it's gorgeous.
it's so cool.
If
So
I owned
cool.
an S2000, I would almost. That's like almost.
You'd
a
almost have to
requirement.
have that one.
top is sick.
It's kind of funny how in the last year or so I've been being here and kind of getting involved in the automotive community, how many people I've actually recognized and know going to all these events. Because like I bumped into that guy Travis that does all those awesome roll cages and that awesome Drift 240, which of course I'm really into that Drift 240 because he's got right-hand
I
drive.
think anybody should be into that car. That car is incredible.
It's awesome. But anyway, so turns out he bought all of the OEM body parts off of my 240 when I moved to Des Moines, and then because he got traded a roller 240SX with no body panels, and just bought all of my panels just to get it finished. So it's like, oh, I know you. And it turns out he's got all this cool backstory and does all this awesome stuff.
He actually works at Carl's, and he was the one. So it turns out that GT3 RS that we talked about in a previous episode that was at Carl's,
yeah.
they were building a cage for it, and he was building it.
So he's a fabricator at Carl's.
He is a cage fabricator specifically.
No.
Do we know him through somebody other than Robbie? Do we know
Yeah, he's
Josh?
Yeah, Josh knows him.
good friends with Josh, and he's cousins with a friend of Josh's that I've made friends with as well.
We should talk to him and probably look at his car closer.
Yes.
They're really cool.
Because where he was sitting, it was really dark. So I got like a bunch of really shitty pictures of his car.
It's really hard to get behind it, and he's got quite a setup going on behind it with a splitter and some under tray work, and that car's set up for drifting. He's the one that built that GTO that we were
Oh my
losing
God.
our fucking minds
I'm
over.
posting that on Instagram.
Please find this GTO.
sure.
It's
It is
caged. But
gorgeous.
the front end, you said the whole front end is tube as well?
I'm pretty sure it is,
It
because
is
that's like a drift
crazy.
thing. They build tubular front end setups so that when they slam into a wall,
It's all good.
it doesn't ruin everything, and they can just put new
body panels.
just bolts right on.
Bolt the body panels off, bolts
Yeah,
the new ones
there's
on.
just some Zeus fasteners or whatever holding that stuff on.
Zeus it on. Because that had that, he's got a hydraulic handbrake in the GTO.
It's a drift car.
It's right up there.
It's a drift car.
Right, it's right up there by the steering wheel. Just grab it. Just grab it. Do handbrake.
Car is really, really well put
It's
together.
so cool. And if he wants to sell it, I could maybe
I could
take
find a
out
way to
some
make
personal loans or something and probably buy
dip
it.
into your trust fund
Because I
just
need to
add
drive
your
it
collection.
daily for sure when it's not
You know,
snowing.
I could learn to drift with something like that for sure.
I could get my head around that.
I'll figure it out.
It's so adjustable and so well built. You could change it to do whatever you want to with it, though.
I don't know that I would though.
You think you just drift it?
I think drifting looks like it's not what I'm doing right now, but you can't deny, like, you're on Facebook and you see a drift video, you stop and you watch it.
Absolutely.
It looks really fun.
So are we talked about earlier that we're going to try to make it to like every type of event this year, like everything from a tractor pull to a figure eight race to a drift event.
Yeah, except for you this weekend. But yeah, continue.
Grid life.
Just because they're car shows.
Grid life.
So, Drift Collective, the local drift team or drift group or whatever.
Yeah.
They put on events all the time. We need to go.
Absolutely.
All right.
They do them at MAM?
Yes, they do.
They do
Or
or
RPM.
RPM?
Yeah.
They do them at, well, you couldn't do it at, could you do it at Iowa Speedway? Can you do drift things at Iowa Speedway?
I don't see
That'd
why.
be sick up on the bank, wouldn't it?
Yeah, how do you do that?
I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
I'm pretty sure they do it. Is it Irwindale? Is that the one that's banked? California?
Yeah, they might do that, but
Like
locally
Formula
they
D
don't.
professional level drifting.
Sure, okay, so maybe not these guys at Iowa Speedway, but you can drift you got to be able to drift on a bank.
So if you're into drifting and in the Iowa scene, go to Drift Collective.
Actually, if you're listening to this and you're in Drift Collective, is that what you said?
O,
You should,
like just the letter O,
Yeah.
Drift Collective.
yeah, you should contact us because
We want to talk to you.
I don't know anything about drifting.
I don't know a damn thing about drifting.
If somebody wants to take us
I know that it's
drifting,
based on like style points. It's very objective.
yeah, there's a judge or
There's
multiple
a judge,
judges.
Yeah, but I don't know what they're looking at. I know there's clipping points and stuff, but I don't quite understand it.
All I know is the stuff from like a few videos online and Tokyo Drift. So if you guys want to come on and tell me how dumb I am and that like my Tokyo Drift knowledge is wrong, let's talk about
I've
it.
always said that Tokyo Drift is the most realistic Fast and the Furious. So if that's not true,
Well, that probably is true, but
Let
that's
me
because the
know.
other ones are so far the other direction.
fair enough. But
Somebody should take us drifting. Somebody that knows
want to.
actual legitimate on a track drifting. Somebody does it. We want to go drifting with you.
grid life.
Well, yeah, but do we know somebody at Grid Life that's going to let us do drift things?
We could be friendly and make friends.
We can make some friends.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Have we even talked about that yet?
We're a whole weekend to figure it out.
We're going to Grid
We
Life.
should tell people we're going to
I
Grid
think
Life.
people know. We've said it. We've talked about grid life.
I don't know if we've talked about it with our audience. though.
Details. Let's go right now. What is Grid Life?
Grid Life is a... well,
let me get on my calendar.
you should get out your calendar. It's
Working on it.
It's a crazy race /
3-day weekend.
music festival that happens in June
Think of Fast and Furious Race Wars, but better.
and real.
And
Friday.
real.
It's Friday the 10th through Sunday
Of June.
the 12th of June
And it's at Gingerman Raceway,
in
South Haven, Michigan. And there's actually two of them. That's the Midwest show.
Yes.
There's another show at...
there might be 3 now, actually. 'cause
oh,
I
really?
think there's a South at Road Atlanta, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be one in California before the year's up.
That would be awesome. That'd be great for them. But this is the big one, I think. I think Road Atlanta is a bigger track, but I think
This might be the original.
this is the original. And I
Yes.
think it has more attendance just because it is the original one. But it's a whole weekend, long 3-day weekend of race events during the day. So they've got lots of drift events. I think that's kind of their mainstay. I would say, is that correct?
It seems to have been in years past.
And then they do a HPDE.
Yep. They have driving instructors. You can get out there. They have like multiple levels of how good you are from I've never been on a track before in my life to I can't remember the last time I spent a weekend and I wasn't on a track. There's everything in between.
They've got a run-of-the-mill car show.
Yep.
So you can enter for just the car
Offset
show.
kings and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they got lots of different classes.
That's sold out months ago, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we
way
actually
in
considered
advance.
maybe entering a car or two, and we were like, well, never mind, they're sold out.
Sold out.
What else goes on during the day? There's
There's
gotta be
the
missing
time
something.
attack.
Time attack. Yep.
They're shooting for like a 200 car field or some crazy thing
Yeah,
like
isn't
that.
it the biggest time attack
It will be the
field?
biggest time attack field in North American history.
Crazy.
It's going to be some crazy, crazy stuff there. Some, what I assume is going to be exhibition level cars. There's a very high possibility that the overall track record will get reset.
Yep.
I think that kind of sums up the day events.
There's going to
Unless
be,
I'm missing something.
yeah, I don't think so.
I think there's a boatload of like DJs and stuff at night.
Yeah,
It's a
so
big
it
party.
turns into
Some
like
EDM
an
stuff.
crazy EDM festival at night.
So lots
So
of.
that
lots
I
of-
assume they bring in those mobile stages.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that rent those. I'm sure they bring those in, set them up. They've got a long list of, I think mainly DJs, maybe
People
a few
I've never
bands.
heard
but
before.
Yeah, we're
I
not
don't
really EDM
No.
aficionados, but I don't know. It's not like it's not going to be fun. Are you kidding?
No,
me?
I'm sure it's going to be a blast.
I'll
We'll be
break
there
out my.
with
I'll break out my.
glow-
shirt.
We'll
Yeah.
get glow
Sticks
sticks
and-
for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
those little glow hoop things. Put
Oh, yeah.
those on. It's gonna
You
be
get those
Let's see what I
the
would-
twirling yo-yo things with that are
Yeah,
glowing.
the yo-yos, the
And I'll
glow-in-the-dark
get- Yeah,
yo-yos.
I'll get my sparkly
I'll
shorty
bring my
pants
cat's
on. We'll do
laser
it.
pointer.
That'd be awesome.
What'd you say?
My cat's laser pointer.
You gonna bring the cat or just the laser pointer?
Can I bring Stan's cat?
No.
We haven't even talked about Stan's
Never
cat.
talked about Stan's cat, have we?
No.
So I have a Munchkin cat. And if you don't know what they are, they're like a Dots dachshund
Dachshund. Looks like
of
Dachshund.
cats. So he has really short legs, and I mean he's like, I don't know,
3
2
inches?
inches,
Yeah,
2
not
3
even.
inches tall.
It's ridiculously funny how small his front legs are.
When when a cat like wakes up and they put their paws out in front of them, they stretch out. His don't quite reach his nose. But
no, he can't come.
His name is Coney because he's lowered,
And he's Stan's
and we
cat.
call him Stan's cat.
He's like raked though. He's like
Yeah, he's got that drag rate going, doesn't
yeah,
he?
he's got some haunches on him. His legs are still short, but he's got like big haunches, so he's like at this weird angle towards the ground.
But because his legs are really short, he does this like prairie dog thing where he stands up on his and like sits on his butt.
Yeah.
And his back legs hold him up, and then he can do things with his front paws.
Well, he can't do. He's
Not-
like
not very
T-Rex
far.
T-Rex
Yeah.
syndrome going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
You try to
yeah.
hold something out to him, he can't reach it. He's
But
hilarious.
He's adorable.
But
I'm
anyway,
a cat. I'm one bad breakup away from becoming a crazy cat lady. So
we won't bring Stan's cat. It's probably not a safe environment for Stan's
no,
cat.
probably
No.
not.
But
Work up to that level with Stan's
so they
cat.
do that Friday and Saturday night, I assume, because they're done Sunday at some point. But
I think Sunday's kind of a wrap up the track of the
sure.
HPDE stuff. And
Yeah, I'm sure it kind of winds down and clears
Yeah.
out by the time. I'm sure the racing still goes on and things finish up, but people are probably gone long before that.
yeah, but we'll be connecting with our friends from Slip Angle,
Yep.
Austin and Adam.
Yep.
Jabay.
It's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be an awesome time.
Finally get to meet those guys.
Yeah, they've been super supportive.
Chatted
and,
back and forth quite a bit. We've never actually met them.
Yeah,
Should be fun.
I was sending Jabay stuff from eBay.co.uk last night. Random TVR race cars. That's the relationship that we have.
We're gonna,
Nope.
harass Matt Farah maybe.
Yeah, Matt Farah. They haven't announced that yet, but on the last Slip Angle show, he said that he was coming. So
Well, on the most recent advertisement video, the smoking tire was a
sponsor.
sponsor.
Oh, okay. So maybe it is kind of semi-announced. They'll probably do like for all the big name people that have been coming. They've been doing like this kind of special banner picture thing for them. So I'm sure eventually they'll do one for Matt Farah.
Sounds like we're gonna end up like working grid or something.
Yeah, we'll be working.
We're gonna be doing some volunteering. I think it'll be fun.
We're going to wear every one of our 10-10 shirts that we have. Like, we're not going to change. It's going to be 10-10 shirts all weekend.
We're gonna be
All day,
we're gonna
every
have
day.
media passes.
It's a crazy
Somebody
idea.
thinks we're a legitimate media outlet.
Yeah.
If you're one of the 3 people who listen to this, don't tell them differently.
Yeah. We are very famous media people.
Yes. please support us.
Very
in this
professional
effort.
here.
So anyway, we're really, really, really looking forward to that. And as I said, that's coming up June 10th. And I don't think they're sold out yet. They got a few more tickets left. So if you want to buy those, you should go to their website, which
is neat.
I don't have in front of me right now. But
It's grid.life.
No, wait. Yeah, you're right.
It's
grid.life because life is what is that thing called?
I don't know.
We're going to call it a URL. I don't think that's the right term.
No,
We're calling
but
it
it's like instead of being grid.com, it's grid.life.
Which is super cool.
It's super cool. It makes me think of all the stupid websites that I could start with because they've got all these different ones now. Like
Stance.life.
Store is one.
Yep.
Stance.store. I don't know. Figure it out. Robbie, what do we got for news?
Well, Ford GT finished, and the Delta Wing finished races finally.
Oh, so they actually finished a race. That's good.
So the Ford GT finally finished the
Bunch
race.
of haters.
Didn't they get, what they get, like 5th
They
place?
won in class.
No, they won. Ford
won
GT
class.
won because they went from such a high. They finally won their class. And then the next week they had like the worst crash they've had all season, destroyed one of their cars.
Well, so this was like May. We're really bad at news. News is a relative term for us. It's not new.
It's not new.
This is opinions more.
Yeah.
We're about a week behind, really.
2 weeks almost because I think
By the time this comes out,
the win was on like the second.
Oh yeah,
or something.
the win is 2 weeks behind. The crash is a week behind.
So they were at Laguna Seca, and they won.
so I read some stuff about this.
Okay.
They won largely because they had a really good fuel conservation method and didn't have to pit.
They only
as
fueled
many.
once in the whole race.
And the reason that they had figured out the fuel conservation method is because the start of the Daytona race, the 24 Hours of Daytona, went so poorly, and they ended up so far behind, and there was no chance of catching up, but they were still going to keep racing. The drivers decided, let's figure out what we have to do in these cars to conserve fuel while still being fast. And then they went out and raced the whole damn race that way at Laguna Seca and won.
Seems to be working.
So that Taurus EcoBoost motor is efficient, I suppose.
I suppose wasn't that the whole point?
I guess so.
There's a small part of me that doesn't like that.
I'm right there with you.
Like, it's awesome that they were able to find a method to win, but I wish that their method would have been running at 10 tenths the whole time instead of 8 tenths, but being really efficient about it.
Yeah.
It's a really boring way to win. Mm-hmm.
But it's the way of the
we don't
world,
like
man.
conservative. We like
Unfortunately, that's the way you win races.
That's
And this is why we're not professional race car
Nope,
drivers.
not at all. And that's why this podcast is called 10 Tenths, because it's almost off the rails most of the time,
and then it goes to 11, and then
it completely
fuck
falls
it up.
apart. And
We
I
hover somewhere between 6 and 11, frankly.
think that's fair.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But the Delta Wing did something.
yeah,
5th overall.
that's that. If
They
they were
led
fifth-
the race for a while. 5th overall, they finished.
I couldn't find any good reason why they went from first to fifth, though.
I haven't watched the highlight reel yet.
nope.
And of course, you go to the Panaz, right?
Nas.
Because they're owned by Panaz now instead of Nissan.
Yes.
They must have sold their rights. And, of course, on the Panaz website, they just kind of neglect to mention anything about those 4 places they
Would
got
you?
lost. Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, they just say
Whatever.
that they led for a handful of laps, and then they went
Yeah, they're
back
like,
to
we
fifth.
were winning, but then we came fifth. And you're like, what happened in between?
They didn't not finish, okay? That's all that matters. They
That's true.
finished,
They didn't
and they
get-
weren't last.
To
They
be-
didn't crash, and it was nice.
To be fair, every time I've watched a race with a Delta Wing, and to be honest, it's not very often, but it's never really been their fault that they've crashed.
They've had a serious string of shitty luck.
I think, did we talk about this in podcast number 1?
Podcast
We
one.
did. Number one.
When we did the live coverage of...
When we were watching the Daytona 24.
And I think we talked about a similar topic, but it seems like really bad things happen to the Delta Wing team, and it's not their fault.
Because they always do really well in qualifying. They're always very fast, and then some bullshit thing happens because
Somebody crashes into them.
before it was a much smaller car, and that was the biggest problem. It was so tiny, people didn't see it.
I still wonder if it's an issue, because obviously the front of it's pointy, right? It's a pointy car, and the headlights have to be
right
on the front.
Narrow, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
so
it's like when you see a motorcycle coming up on you.
is it a motorcycle or is it a car from, 2,000 feet away?
Right.
That's I wouldn't be surprised if that's
Or is
part
it
of
a
the
car
problem.
with some front end damage and only one of those headlights is working?
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah, and then somebody cuts over and ends your race.
Yeah.
So kudos to Kudos to Panaz, I guess. That's cool.
I hope it continues.
I hope they do well. It's a cool car. It's amazing that it even works because it's got like 100 series tires on the front. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
It's got
Props
a
to
tiny
them.
little Mazda MZR based engine.
It's an engineering marvel.
It's got a bigger engine than it used to have in it.
Oh, it does.
It does.
Bigger than the one that Chris Harris when he did. Do you remember that Chris Harris video that he did?
Yeah.
That was like 4 years ago now, probably.
Yeah, now it has an engine that is based on the Mazda MZR 2-liter.
Okay. Interesting. What else we got, Robbie?
Well, I'm super excited about this, obviously, because it's so awesome.
Why?
The Porsche Panamera wagon is coming to the United States next year.
First of all, it's a Porsche, but yeah, continue. What were you going to say, Adam?
I'm so
I just
enthusiastic.
want to point out that our fan base has rallied around the Panamera more than any other individual topic.
I understand why you like it, Dadum, because it looks like a minivan. This is especially if you add the wagon factor to
It's
it.
the responsible thing to do.
Nah, man, we're just gonna keep throwing those out there.
You just wait. I've heard another one, but we'll save
I
it.
accidentally dropped the other one,
Dick.
but it's
Yeah,
we'll save it.
We'll wait.
it's very much the minivan of Porsches. So that's all I'm gonna say on it. I'll let you tell me how
I
great
think
it is.
They're
but-
so cool.
So here's what I have to say about the Panamera wagon.
Well, that's right. You had a revelation that you were
I had
willing to tell
something
us.
that I was not willing to tell these guys about the Panamera wagon when we were talking about it before the show.
Oh, I'm really excited.
You're excited,
I'm
Archie?
so excited about this because I think it's good.
It's good looking.
Yes! Oh my God, I'm so happy.
It's a Hearst. It's a Hearst. Look at it.
This is the best day
This
ever.
is the ugliest car in
Remember the
the.
last time I said it was the best day ever? I was wrong. This is.
No, you're wrong.
They fixed the problem
No, they didn't.
with the Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
They fixed that. The front end of it looks better,
The front end always looked fine. It looked good.
but it
was
looks
a good-looking front end.
The concept. What's the name of this silly concept? thing?
we went from a 2 to a 4.
Sport Turismo is what they're calling this thing. The concept of it. The front of it kind of looks like the other newer Porsches, the 918, the square headlight thing, kind of the 4 dots that make the square headlight. I like that look. It's a cool look. My issue with the Panamera, the current one, is that they tried to make the back of it look like a 911, and they screwed it up when they did that. They're not trying to make it look like a 911 now. It looks like an estate
own
car,
thing.
and it looks good.
Yay! Oh, I'm so happy.
I think
Am
it looks good.
am I really the only one that hates this car still now?
I don't know why
I-
this surprises you, Robbie.
I adamantly do not like the Panamera still. Don't get that twisted. The weird hatch thing, it's in trying to make it look like a 911 fucked it up. The wagon, though, they moved away from trying to get it to look like a 911. It's just an estate car that's a Porsche. It looks like a Porsche estate car. Porsche's been on a roll with making their current cars look better. The Boxster looks better. The Cayman looks better.
I'll agree with
Boxster
that.
is
The
good.
911 looks better. Approved.
Yay!
I don't like any wagons, though.
And then
How can you not like wagons?
I don't like wagons.
What about an RS6?
I feel like
I still don't like
feel
it.
like a wagon is everything Robbie should want because
It
they're
should,
so
but-
practical and they're so like
Well-
utilitarian.
You say that, Adam, but as we all know, Robbie wants to hate his daily driver deep down inside, so he wants
That's a good
wants
point.
the most boring, slowest, brokenest daily driver that he
is
can
this
come
where
up with.
we're going to bring in our conversation that we had without Robbie when he refused to go do meat things with us?
I did sushi things instead.
So a couple things. Let's explain meat things because that could be misconstrued.
Yeah, I missed out on your meat party.
So when we go to Jethro's, that's
Jethro's
a
is a
barbecue.
local barbecue joint that
We typically have team breakfast or dinner there.
Yeah, team
basically
lunch
when
or
I
dinner.
come to Des Moines, I eat at Jethro's. Like that's just what I do. And that's kind of turned into our thing. I'm not sure that everybody else is super into it, but I'm super into it.
I
And
think it's great. I love it.
and Michael and I could order for each other because we don't fucking
Nothing changes.
change.
It's
Like,
always the same
I'm here
thing.
for this. Like the waitress, is like, do you know what you want? And my response is, I did before I walked in the door.
Same as last time.
It's a place where I can get 6 or 7 pounds of
But-
meat in one sitting, so
But
it's perfect.
Jethro's bacon is too wordy, so we've just shortened that down to meats.
Meats.
Want to get some meats?
Yes.
You wanna get some meats?
Absolutely. So
Plural.
that was the first part of that. Which conversation
But
did we
then,
have?
so Robbie decided he wanted to eat
Sushi.
fish.
He's on his paleo diet.
Are you doing
or some-
paleo things?
Some horse shit. I don't know. What
I don't
else.
think you can eat white rice on paleo, to be honest with you, Robbie.
Guys, I'm not on a diet.
Are you trying to cut weight, Robbie?
In fact, today,
You know what? He is acting
I never
a bit-
stopped eating today. I felt so fat.
He is acting a bit odd. Have you noticed lately? He's been acting a bit odd.
Yeah, but I don't know that we want to go there.
I don't know what what are you getting at?
I'm teasing you because you have a new girlfriend.
And we have to throw this
And
out.
I'm sorry about that.
We have to throw this out
We
on
do,
the
but we can
podcast?
move past it. We've already talked about it
I
once
really
in this
want-
podcast.
Why do we
go
have to
there,
make it
but
so
we're not
personal?
going.
Why is it always so personal
Because
on the podcast?
the fans thirst for these
for
things.
your
They
personal
want to
life.
know about my personal life?
They know about my baby. They know about your new girlfriend, and nobody knows a goddamn thing about me.
You won't even tell us about your girl.
There went that.
Well, it's out there. I hope none of them listen. Otherwise, I'm
He's
in.
gonna edit this out. For
I know, that's
sure.
what- I'm not worried.
I'll leave it.
I'm not
I'll leave
worried
it in.
anymore. 'cause
I'll leave it.
I can say anything I want. He's just going to cut it out
But
anyways.
so we were at Meats with a friend of the podcast, Thomas.
Oh, he's a good dude.
Yeah, good guy. And you're not gonna say that here.
I
Sean.
know. He's going to have some awesome thing. He doesn't even know me, but he's going to have like the best burn.
So I don't even know how we got on the subject. I think we were making fun of your CVT actually.
There should be.
And God, what? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. You're gonna have to give me some
So
context.
something about he said something about I thought Robbie was married.
Oh yeah, we were talking about your car, and he goes, "Oh, I thought Robbie was married." And we're like,
Because I have a
we're like-
boring car.
We're like, why? We was like, well, why else would you have a Rogue?
The only reason you would own a Rogue is if you have
you-
children and you're married.
Or yeah, at least married. It's the wife's car.
That could have been worse. It could have been worse.
I almost fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard.
He was dead serious too. He's like,
Oh.
he's not married? Why does he have a Rogue?
It's because I want my daily driver to be so boring that I only want to drive my race car.
But then why wouldn't you just make that your daily?
Because I need practical things.
No, you don't.
I need a pickup.
We can't understand Robbie's daily choices. Let's move on.
All right. So,
wagons.
I hate wagons. Anyways, let's talk about something fun. The Viper ACR sets 13 production car lap records twice last year. And they were quiet about it, which is not Dodge's MO.
They told everybody that they beat the track records once.
Turns out they
Do you have a
actually...
list of the tracks.
I don't. But it's 13 track records.
Laguna
I
Seca.
know
on
Laguna
there.
Seca is the big one because they made a huge stink about the 918's time around Laguna Seca.
It was like
and
so
then
much
not only
faster.
did it beat it, but it destroyed it.
by like 3 seconds or something.
Okay,
like
so
that.
Huge amount of
So
time.
it's on 13 different tracks, the Viper went to them, beat the record, and then the next lap beat it again, and was within a 10th or a 100th of the time they were the lap before.
So what Dodge wanted to do to prove that this car was a real car, what they say is, yeah, sure, those hyper cars with their hybrid drivetrains, they can go out and they can smash out a lightning lap, but they can't do it twice because they're out of battery power. Our Viper, you can take that thing out and you can smash everybody at any track day you go to, and you can do it lap after lap after repeatable lap because this car will do everything you want it to do whenever you want it to do it.
So basically what they're trying to do is they're essentially cementing a record for this Viper.
Without a doubt.
Because who knows what's going to be around in 10 years
And
exactly.
this is the grand finale.
For Vipers.
Yeah,
this
they're
is the
done.
end.
We know for sure that they're done
They
now.
have stated that this is the last Viper gen that they will make
Let's talk about why is nobody buying the Viper?
because it costs the same amount as a Corvette.
It's a really expensive Corvette.
I would
guess.
much rather have the Viper.
Well,
What's the
okay,
ACR?
so the base model
137
for a base
brand new
ACR.
for a brand no, not the base. For the
Oh.
for the top end ACR Viper with like all the carbon fiber aero everything, 137.
137, but it's way faster than a Z06.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not way, but faster.
I
for
would rather
sure.
have it.
I think that people are afraid of the Viper still because the Viper, the earlier gens of the Viper are always built as this raw, in your face. If you don't know how to drive, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to slap you across the face. Like they even had problems with their airbags deploying because that Viper is built to kill you.
Because they're hard to drive. They're tail happy. You take them to a track, you're going to spin out.
They're
that type
driver's
of driving.
cars for men. That
Yes.
was what they were built to be.
But isn't that
they-
a market? Isn't there a market for that car? Or?
I don't think there's as big a market as
should
there
be.
used to be.
I find that interesting, I guess.
I do too.
I've
always preferred the Viper.
I would think that there's enough people with huge egos to be like, oh, yeah, I can tame the Viper, and then would buy one and, maybe they'd stuff it or whatever. But still, there'd be enough people to buy that, you would think.
I think that was a market when the top end of that market only made 500 horsepower. But now, and then those guys are like, yeah, I can tame 500 horsepower. Whatever, my muscle car makes that all the time, blah, 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 whatever. But now it's 7 whatever.
like 725 for the new Vet or something crazy. Or the Hellcat's like 707.
Yeah, the Hellcat's is like 707
Doesn't the Viper make
645.
645. Yeah, it makes less power than the
Hellcat.
Z06 even, which is cheaper. It's like 30, 40 grand cheaper. Not saying it's better necessarily.
But
I'm just
that
saying-
car's proven to have a lot of problems on track. They can't cool it fast enough.
Well, I think that's
Gail Banks says that they put too small of a supercharger on there because they were trying to get it to fit underneath the hood, and they spin it too fast, and lap after lap after lap, it eventually heat soaks, and it doesn't take that long, frankly, and then it becomes a heat pump, not a supercharger, and you blow the motors up. The automatic transmission, they were having troubles with it starting on fire because it got so hot.
The thing I found interesting about the Viper itself, the ACR or the base ACR versus like the top end record beating ACR, it's the same drivetrain. It's the same engine. It's the same everything.
Oh, so you're saying the ACR is not any more powerful than
No.
You go out and buy the $100,000 Viper. It's the same.
The
engine.
$137,000 Viper is the only thing different is the Extreme Aero package, which is a $7,000 option that includes your pop-up louvers, your rear diffuser, your front splitter, and
It's got canards,
yeah, so
front
like it's
canards, front diffuser,
bigger
front
wing.
splitter.
So I mean your base ACR versus your top end ACR mechanically is the same. So it also proves that what Aero can do. So like all these track records are done with a 6-speed manual transmission, 645 horsepower V10.
Probably is. Probably
I'm pretty
is
sure
a
it's a-
60. So yeah, I don't know where else they would get a transmission from.
It's a Tramac 6-speed,
Yeah,
It's a
it is.
60-60.
Same one you
So-
get in the Corvette.
which is, and then I was mentioning to you guys earlier, the crazy thing is like this Aero, like on the track, which makes it so fast, actually makes this ACR Viper the slowest Viper ever because it drops the top speed to 177.
Yeah, slowest top speed.
Yeah,
Viper.
Yep. So like every other Viper can break 177 except this one because the Aero package makes it so fast on a track. But if you're going out for top speed, it's the slowest.
I wonder if they're having a hard time selling them because of that. Seems
Because
weird.
it doesn't do 200 miles an hour.
Oh, the new Z06 does 205. Why does this only do 277 or 177?
I think that's a lot of it, actually, because a lot of people look at people who have that kind of money base their purchases on the stats, on the papers.
Because they're not going to do that
on
with
going
it.
to a Cars and Coffee and being able to brag about it.
All right.
What's you got a 0 to 60 over there?
I don't have a 060. Oh, the only thing I really had on
I
here
don't
too is
know that it's even sub 3,
I don't know.
which by supercar standards is embarrassing today.
What's a Z06? Is it 2.9?
That's 2829 somewhere in there.
Yeah, so see, again, you could probably say, well, Z06 fast, it's 40 grand cheaper.
I'll say the Hellcat's faster 0 to 60, I think.
Is it really?
I think so. Like the Hellcat would beat the Viper off the line, but the Viper would obviously catch it.
Yeah.
But then long term, the Hellcat would come
Hellcat would
back
go
and come
again,
out
because
ahead.
I don't know what a Hellcat does, 200
The
probably.
Challenger, I mean, not the Charger.
So, yeah, people aren't buying them because the stats aren't there, which is stupid, because that means they're building a better car
Yes.
that is on paper slower,
But
I guess.
at the same time, most people aren't going to drive these buy a $137,000 street car and drive it on the track. You're going to get this $7,000 carbon fiber Aero package and rip it off a curb. Every driveway you pull into is going to probably take off your splitter. You technically can't really drive it. At least not
I
around
wonder,
here.
there's a Spec Viper class. There's been like Spec Viper racing. I wonder if they have that for this car still.
I don't know. Well, I guess to me too, like it's beating records. It's beating an all-wheel drive GTR. It's beating the McLaren P1s. It's beating the Porsche 918.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The $900,000 Porsche 918 is
I
getting.
think they're more than that.
Well, whatever. It's 9 times the price, and it's getting beat by a $137,000 Viper with a 6-speed manual transmission.
Merca.
Yeah. So I've always kind of liked Vipers. Now I really like Vipers because I'm still I'm a purist. I'm not a big fan of paddle shifters. I want that manual transmission, so I want a Viper really bad now.
You need to get a first gen with no windows.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because you know that, right? The first gens don't have windows.
Right. Like the 90.
Like 92s,
Is it
95, yeah, no window, no side windows.
early
Is that the one with the yellow rims? Or is that... that's the first gen with the window.
That was one of the variants of that car. I'm not sure what it was, GTS or what it was
the
exactly.
RT and the GTS.
I don't think any of that first few years had side windows.
That makes sense.
You had no top and no side. So if you got that stupid top thing, it was like it was like a tent. It was like you put a tent on top of your car and you had these stupid tent windows that like unzipped. If you had a top.
Yep.
But there were no glass side windows.
That only lasted a year or two?
Oh, it may have been longer than that before they put windows in them. I know the second gen, they definitely had power windows.
Right.
That, on the novelty, right? Having power windows that roll up and down with actual glass in them.
Yep. Well, to this day, my favorite Viper is still the late 90s GTS Coupe. Like I think that is one of the best looking cars ever made.
White with blue stripes, please.
I would have gone blue with white stripes actually.
No,
but
I agree with Robbie. That's the second gen, right?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
That's one of my favorite cars ever. And that and then this brand new ACR, but oh man. I still want one.
I think the last gen is probably the least interesting, least desirable one.
The third gens?
Yeah.
You don't like them?
Not as much as the other 3.
I don't like the fact that...
I'm not saying... If someone came up to me and said, hey, you want my Viper? I'm not going to tell them no.
Yeah.
But the third gen is the least interesting of the 4.
I don't like the fact that when you rev it, you get the striker, the snake thing, starts glowing behind the gauge cluster.
Gauge cluster.
I'm not going to say that I love it.
No. I also don't like that the third brake light is also the striker. No, Robbie.
That doesn't surprise me.
Damn it.
That doesn't even bother me that much, frankly.
I don't like those little novelty. It feels cheap. It feels ricer.
For the record, I saw one of those Mercedes-Benz with the glow emblem.
Yeah.
Super ricer.
It's terrible, isn't it?
That's way worse.
What?
The brand new Mercedes, like the $100,000.
I think it's an option on any Mercedes that you buy now.
The big Mercedes, what's it called?
the
The
one
logo.
with
The TriStar.
The TriStar.
Giant.
On the grill?
And
Yes.
the new ones are huge, of course.
It's got an LED backlight, so it lights up
glows.
like a Christmas tree.
Oh, my God.
yeah.
I saw one.
Terrible.
I saw one
That's-
coming out of
that's-
Glen Oaks on Saturday.
So is that worse than the thing that the new Mustangs do?
Yes.
Where it seems like a lot of people don't know this, but the new Mustang at night, if you unlock it, it shines the running horse. I mean, it's not actually like running, but
The logo.
the logo of the horse, it shines it down on the ground in front of the door,
Comes off the mirror.
comes off the bottom of the mirror. It's a projector off the bottom of the mirror.
I'm a little bit on board with that.
Damn it, Robbie. The new Land Rover does that too. Did you know that? I think all of the new Land Rovers, it's probably an option.
Does it say Land Rover? Or?
Yep.
Lame.
It says Land Rover on the ground.
Super lame.
It's to remind other people that you are better off than they are.
Yeah, like I need to be reminded that I'm poor.
This is the vehicle you can buy with a gun case and a wine cooler, so...
Well,
Yeah.
who doesn't need a gun case?
A wine chiller, I guess.
Wine chiller. Yeah, wine coolers.
Yeah.
Wine coolers are hugely different things. My bad.
All right, what else we got, Robbie?
We have there was a poll by Bloomberg that says that only 25% of the people polled actually would want an autonomous car,
Yeah, so
which makes me happy because I think it's a stupid idea.
I think several companies have done polls because there's a lot of companies out there that's all they do is do polls, and there's a lot of news sources out there like JD Power is a big one. A couple universities, Kelley Blue Book, a lot of them have come back and said that the people that they've polled unanimously, well, not unanimously, but almost
25%.
Yeah, only 25% would actually consider a autonomous car.
Right. Which
I
I
think
guess
It's a lot lower than I thought it would be. To
It
be
is
I think
lower
honest.
than I
that
expected.
this is a early adoptions sort of thing. Like
change is hard.
change is hard, and people don't trust the technology yet. I don't think that this necessarily means that we as the average public don't want cars that drive us around by themselves, because I think most people do want that. I think they're afraid of the technology as it stands today.
And that's what everybody said when they actually asked them why they gave the answer that they did, is that they don't trust the technology. It's just a matter of those people think that the car is going to kill them.
Right.
Uber sure seems to think it's going to pan out for them. So,
But
someone threw out the idea that this will cut down on OWIs if everyone has these autonomous cars.
yeah, I kind of wonder how that boils down. Like,
if you're,
is that it?
If you're 0.3 drunk, basically nearly legally dead, driving a car or autonomously driving a car home, are you technically getting an OWI?
Only if you're not. You have to be going home.
What if I'm booze cruising in my autonomous car?
Nope.
you can't booze cruise?
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't know.
I'm not driving.
That's the question. I think they'll have to clarify this.
Well, this is also interesting, some of the other things that we need to consider with autonomous cars, because a lot of things will change, and actually a lot of people are going to lose jobs.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I don't think that there's much spotlight that's been put on this. Obviously, at some point, they're going to replace semis. Anybody that drives a semi, that's going to get replaced with some form of an autonomous driver. But the other thing I didn't really think about is insurance companies have a huge stake in us occasionally crashing into each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Because how else are they going to charge insurance premiums if the likelihood of a crash is dramatically increased because it's all automated?
Yeah, I don't need insurance.
Yeah, decreased.
I don't need insurance if somebody can guarantee that my car's not going to crash into something else.
Right. Or they can't charge us hardly anything if there is some small, minute 1/1,000,000th of a chance that maybe there will be a crash.
Yeah,
But they can't blame you for negligence, though, because you're not in control. So how can they charge you a premium?
Right.
I feel like the company that produced the car has to hold the insurance on it.
Absolutely. That's what I thought, too.
And then would that be considered a maintenance thing? If your autonomous sensors and all the junk that works for that, like if something goes out?
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. Is they're definitely going to have a much more strict routine maintenance schedule.
Mandatory maintenance schedules.
You have to stay on.
Yeah. Because like Japan, they have to have emission tests like yearly, quarterly, whatever. If we're going to have
They get harder as the car gets older.
Exactly. Autonomous cars will have to be the same way. And is America really capable of doing that?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I got 30 new questions and no freaking answers.
Here's another one for you. I got another one for you.
All right.
You sounded like the oldest person in the world just now.
Oh, it's like watching the TV show Lost. Nothing but questions, no answers.
Yeah, I never watched that.
Me neither.
Are you ready for this next one? What about all of the officers that give out traffic fines? And what about all of the municipalities that rely on traffic fines for revenue?
Just take it out of your taxes. It's whatever.
Everything's going to be a toll road.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Everything's a toll road, and then the war on drugs might actually be a war on drugs.
I got off on a weird rabbit trail today.
We've clearly gone on rabbit trails all night.
Well, this was a long podcast. This was before we did podcast things, but I started looking into the origin of traffic fines. Obviously, I was bored. But
you should probably work at your job.
Why?
Just stick with me for a second.
Why would you?
Just stick with me for a second. So in
Holy rabbit
1974, they mandated a national speed limit. There was a lot of opposition to this, and oddly enough, I read one instance where there was I don't know if it was a police municipality or if it was highway patrol or what it was exactly, but they said the sheriff in charge. He basically said, "Are you really asking me to send an officer out to stake out on a road to see if somebody's going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit when I could have that same guy working a later shift at night, making sure people aren't drunk driving or making sure people aren't getting into mischief or this, that, and the other thing, and actually protecting the neighborhood?" I thought that was a really interesting perspective, because that's, in 40 years, that's changed dramatically. Because this is a guy that's in charge of police officers or sheriffs or whatever they are.
Right.
He's saying this is a waste of our time to be going and giving people traffic fines for going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit when we should be protecting people. But think about how infrastructure has changed in the last 40 years, where now those police departments rely on traffic fines. They rely on us speeding, I don't know, changing lanes without signaling, this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
Not registering your car.
Not registering your car. Not having a license plate. Tint. I thought that was a really interesting perspective. And now, if we go towards autonomous cars, it's going to be even worse. We're actually going to have, novel idea, police officers that their job is to protect communities as opposed to writing citations for, frankly, trivial things.
Right.
It's like the undercover car thing.
Yeah, what's the point of an undercover police car?
It is to catch you doing something that you wouldn't have done in the presence of a car that is obviously a cop.
But the real
so
issue...
that they can fine you
right.
and collect money from you.
The real issue that I have with that is that those people are public servants. And
no, they're not.
If
Don't get it. Don't get it.
They should be.
40 years ago.
They should be. And if you're in trouble for whatever reason, how do you know if that's a police officer or not? When you could use their help.
Right.
When you get into small town America, like we basically live in, you see a lot of times where there's towns that have full-time police forces for towns that have 2,000 people in them, and you don't need as many cops as you have because nothing's happening there.
Right.
And so they end up just staking the main highway that goes through town and pulling people over as they blow through it, because that's all the better they have to do.
They won't be able to do that anymore. 10, 20, 30 years from now, whenever that happens.
They'll have robot police officers.
We have robot cars. What are they going to pull people over for?
No, I'm saying they'll have robot police officers to maintain the peace.
Well, then you wouldn't even need to pull them over. You'd just get cameras everywhere and then just send them a fine, because that's really all it is.
Big Brother shit right there.
Well, that's like getting a fine for speeding on the interstate here in Des Moines when they had cameras. It didn't go on your record. They didn't care who was driving. The owner of the car got a fine. You paid the fine, and you moved on with your life. It was just to make money.
You know what the story was behind that, right? This might have been, I don't know if this is Des Moines or Cedar Rapids, but that was being contracted to a different company, to a private company.
I didn't know that.
So they were making
both.
like 60%, this company was. So they set up the cameras. They set up all the infrastructure. They handled the fines. They handled the tickets. They handled the pictures. And then the municipality, whoever it is, Des Moines, would get the revenue. So basically, they do all the work, this private company. They make 60%. They send the other 40% to Des Moines. And people flip shit about that.
Well, yeah.
Because why is that okay?
And it shouldn't be.
Right. And that's why I'm pretty sure all the traffic cameras on 235 are shut off now.
Yeah, they're shut off now.
But anyway, it's just... The autonomous car thing is much more nuanced than anybody's really let on.
Yeah, and I think that we could lead rabbit trail discussions about the autonomous car almost on a weekly basis, with new questions and answers coming up along the way.
Changes as it stuff, because it's constantly changing.
Right. We look at it from a different light on a daily basis. I know I have, even in the last 2 days.
And I won't even go so far to say that I'm opposed to it. Because I was pretty adamantly opposed to it for a long time, and I'm not even sure that I'm really opposed to it anymore.
I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it as long as I can have a car that's not.
And I think
Agreed.
I think it would be impossible to say you cannot have a car that's not. We're going to give you some... I
don't think it's impossible to do anything.
What you do on private property is your business.
No, I don't want a car on private property. I want a car that I'm still I want to jump in my back road cruiser and drive.
I don't think that could ever be really taken away. I mean, you can still drive
you're wildly overestimating what they can and can't do.
You can still drive a Model T on the road.
Yeah, well, they took away alcohol for a while, too, so...
I think they're going to take it away, Robbie. I mean, honestly...
I think they really are.
It's just my opinion.
I really do.
In my opinion, I think that... And we may be talking 30, 50, 80 years from now. I don't know. But I think at some point they're going to say, enough's enough.
I think it will have to be 50 to 100 years, 50 to 80 years from now, because... Well, I don't know about 50, but maybe 30 to 50 years from the time that autonomous cars become truly viable.
Mainstream, yeah.
And mainstream. It will still take 20 years for the very first ones to trickle down to where, middle and lower income can afford them.
Right.
Before you can say, no more.
I guess I have a hard time believing that it would truly go away. Like, I understand, like, you're
pretty sure it will.
Like, I can see it being a thing where you have your roads for your autonomous cars. But, like, even now, you can still horse and buggy if you really wanted to on any fucking road. So I have a hard time believing that it would ever go away. Truly. There's too many car enthusiasts. There's too many collectors. There's too many cars.
Well, I think and Alex Roy had this theory as well. I think we'll get to a point where we've got designated areas for human piloted cars. So you'll still be able to do, you may even still be able to do a road rally. You may, I think there's going to be more racetracks
Probably.
when we get to autonomous cars. I think there's going to be more opportunities for people with off-road vehicles to do off-roading. There's going to be more race parks. There's going to be more dragways. I think we're going to see more of these things moving forward. More of them pop up. More of them start. It's going to be a viable business for a lot of people. But I think, on most roadways, I think they're going to say no.
Okay, then maybe we are getting it kind of twisted. Like, I guess the way you guys interpret it made it sound like they're taking your...
Oh, no.
Yeah,
They can't
I
take
think we're
right,
saying the same thing,
thing.
just on a little bit different end of the spectrum.
No, I'm really literally saying I want a car that I can drive on a
So do I.
public road.
I agree.
I don't want a car that I can only take to a racetrack. I want to still be allowed to go out and drive curvy back roads from time to time.
Yes.
But you're saying, your opinion is at some point they're going to say
That won't
enough's
happen.
enough.
They will stop that.
And I'm saying I agree with you.
And you know what else I think about your comment about racetracks and all that stuff is that as urban sprawl continues, that stuff will start to dwindle again as well.
That's
because it already is.
That's when we moved to Australia.
It doesn't matter where you go. The world is that's a problem across the board.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. That it's that
Probably
bad.
not our lifetime.
No.
But
No. At some point,
I don't know,
though,
we'll probably all fold in on top of each other and it'll be another big bang before we get to that
there
point.
could be
But
some weird apocalypse thing that happens. You never know.
We can only hope.
Let's end the show on the lowest note possible.
Which we clearly have.
Events? Do we have events?
Yeah,
for-
we should look at an events
Let
calendar.
me get on my calendar.
We talked
Maybe
about
that'll
Grid
be-
Life, which we're super pumped about.
We'll
so
probably
you'll
talk about that for a
You'll
few
have
more
to hear
weeks.
about that for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Apologize.
so this is coming out on the 15th, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, that means the first NQS event the following week.
21st.
Finally,
21st.
Marshalltown.
Woo.
No, wait a minute. Iowa International Raceway.
Yeah.
Which is not what you think it is. It's a go-kart track in Marshalltown.
And it is super fun.
Why is it international? Does anybody know?
Because it can be?
Because they called it international?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because nobody questioned it.
Because nobody stopped them.
Until
'Cause-
you
'cause
said
one-
something, nobody cared.
Because one Canadian and one Mexican came up and raced on it one time.
Is that racist?
That's slightly racist.
Somebody that lives and was born in Mexico, calling them Mexican, is racist?
I don't know, is it?
No. That's
Depends
like,
on who you're talking to.
that's like calling me American because I was born in America.
That's racist.
I don't know. We
not
live
racist.
in a crazy time, Robbie.
crazy
People get
time.
offended for anything.
Please don't
People
be
get
offended.
microaggressive.
Please don't be offended on the fact that
Yeah,
I call
that's
a Mexican that
microaggression.
lives in Mexico.
You've caused microaggression to millions of people.
Millions of listeners across the
there
world.
can't be anybody that sensitive.
You'd be surprised.
Challenge accepted.
All
Is there anything else?
I will be getting an angry letter, I'm sure.
Is there anything else coming up in the next week or so?
Sioux Falls has a race that same weekend.
Yeah,
you live
props.
nearby?
If my car is done, maybe I'll race there instead. Because I'll have to go pick it up and then race it and then just come back.
Talk to Josh.
He's working on it right now.
Like, I think maybe even literally.
That's what I'm saying.
You might, yeah.
Me and him
I
have had-
actually talked to him about it today.
Yep.
As I asked
I talked to him
I was
last
like,
night.
I wonder if we have any project updates for Robbie.
We do. We'll talk about them later.
Yep.
I think that's it. Find us on all our social media pages. We have loved the traffic this week. Please talk to us.
Keep it coming.
Even if you are listening to episode 3 and you find some tidbit in there that you want to talk to us about, we don't care. We want to talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Because
If you feel weird about digging up an old post, then just message it to us. That's fine too.
Send us a private message. We don't care. We'll talk about. We're more than happy to talk about things that we can't remember from 2 months ago.
I'll go back and listen to it again.
Yep, I've done
Just
that.
to
I'd be
figure out
lying
what
if I
you were
said I
talking about.
haven't.
So find us on our social media. Rate us on iTunes, of course. We really appreciate that. Write us a review. It really helps us. We are hugely appreciative of that. And catch us next week. See you guys.
Bye.
Do we have any fun sound bites that we can use?
Probably not.
Oh, well, last week was so good, though.
Last week was my favorite for sure. It really captures the essence of this podcast.
Yeah, but see, it happened because I pissed Robbie off.
No,
See?
it did
From
not.
poking the bear.
Don't poke the fucking...
See, what we need to
One
be
of
doing
these
is
days-
pissing Robbie off so that he says bad
One of
things.
these days he's not going to show up because he's sick and tired of your bullshit.